Welcome to Clarion Connection. I'm Ron Wilshire, and my guest today is the brand spanking new mayor of Clarion Borough, Dan Parker.
Good morning, Ron. Thank you so much for having me. I always say this when you have me on, but thank you for having me. It's always an honor to come and chat on the radio. It's sort of a big deal for a country boy to be out on the radio waves.
Wellsboro didn't have a radio station?
They did, but I only got to talk on it once when I was briefly the library director up that way. And I think it was mainly just a couple little old ladies in the nursing home who got the feed. It broadcasted out of the department store there in town.
Come from one beautiful town to another beautiful town.
Yeah, I feel really comfortable in these small rural communities, that have a lot of street appeal, a lot of charm, and so I feel comfortable in Clarion. And as I said last night when I was interviewing for the mayor's position, Clarion has been very good to me. Clarion's been very welcoming to me personally and very good to the library, which I head up. And so I felt like it was a good opportunity to be able to give back to the community.
Just as a little bit of background, the former mayor, Dude Walters, I just love saying dude.
Isn't that great? I mean,
God
knows what they call me as my nickname.
I was going to say, are you going to get a nickname?
I hope not.
Well, anyway, Dude got a nice promotion and moved to North Carolina with Alcoa, or a subsidiary of it, and he resigned, and Borough Council decided to ask for applications. There were 2 applications. They interviewed, and then last night you were picked to serve the
unexpired portion of Dude Walters' term. So I'll be there for a year. I think the nomination process starts this spring, so if there are people who want to run, they can file their petitions, and then there's a general election in the fall.
Are you going to file?
I haven't decided yet. I'll have to wait and see. So far, my first council meeting was pretty exciting, so we'll see how it goes from there out.
So you've served a number of years as the town librarian, and the duties of mayor. Do you want to go over there? Because a lot of times the mayor will serve as the spokesman or the standard bearer of a community, but they don't actually have a vote unless it's a tie break. And but you do have some sway over the police department.
Yeah, that was my understanding of it when I applied for the position, that the mayor is really more of a figurehead here in Clarion, that they're to be the spokesperson, the cheerleader, and the salesman for our little community. And those are roles that I'm happy to take on. I feel like, I'm good at public relations and good at working with people and bringing people together and working with different groups of people. And I think that those are good areas where I can excel and be of service to the town. I also think that I'm a good person to work with outside groups, people outside of the community, and talk to them about why our little town of Clarion is a great place to, relocate your business, to do business, to retire to come and, raise a family. It's truly a sweet little town, and we need to get the word out about that, and I'm glad that I'm in a position to do that.
You've been involved quite a bit in a thing called Blueprint Communities, which involves a state program for planning for the community and to do the things that you just mentioned. How has that gone?
I think the Blueprint Community Initiative has gone very well here in Clarion. We've had a number of rather high-profile successes, starting with the work that we did in partnership with the individuals running Clarion River Brewing Company to help them get the startup money to get that enterprise up and running. So we're quite proud of that. And we recently got our grant from the EPA and the Allegheny Regional Commission and the USDA to fund a study to look at how we can expand broadband service in Clarion County and Clarion Borough in particular. Because, really, in this day and age, you have to be able to communicate. You have to be tied in with the wider world. And a lot of our community just doesn't have access to broadband internet, to have that high-speed internet service that will make commerce possible in this day and age. And so we're very, very proud to get that. We were one of only, I think, a dozen communities in the nation that got that. So that's a real feather in our cap.
Does that provide for funding for broadband after this survey, or is it just for the study? Not just, but is it only for this study?
It's a first step. So once you complete the study, then other opportunities are available to you. And I think this is a real push from the federal level to get broadband service out into these rural communities. There was just an article that the senator from New York, Kirsten Gillibrand, was introducing a bill. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold, and so I'm a little hacky this morning. But Senator Gillibrand had introduced a bill to make funding available for communities who need to get the infrastructure in place for the broadband service. And so I think once we complete the first step of this process, we'll definitely be looking for other grant opportunities to implement whatever the plan says. And I have to give a shout out to your friend of mine, John Straub. You know, he's done a lot of work with this over the years, and honestly, this puts us head and shoulders ahead of the people who are also in the Cool and Connected program, because a lot of this groundwork has already been done by John and his committee, because there's already a plan out there, and so we're going to give that to the consultants and give them ample time to look that over and see if we can implement some of the stuff that's already been decided upon.
Right, and I believe part of his, not concern, but interest is also with the need for broadband for things like sending high resolution images, such as medical hospitals would use. And so it's needed on so many levels, but especially for business and just people in general. But
yeah, just people in general, and you know, for the sake of their quality of life and their hobbies and interests. But also, you're very correct in terms of the needs for business and also healthcare. Broadband is a resource that we're lacking, and something that we need to really get serious about getting in this community.
And with the stress in sharing video and audio of all kind over, more people are going to that, and it's going to be needed.
Yeah, this is really the way people are communicating now, through video and audio transmission. And also, there's a sort of a new wave of amateur artists out there who are doing a lot with video and audio and graphic design and things like that, and they need to be able to transmit that out to get it out to a wider audience. And so there's a wide constituency of people who could take advantage of this service, not just those who want to use it for commerce.
What's next for the Blueprint communities? It's an ongoing process.
Yeah, it's an ongoing endeavor. We actually have a meeting coming up, and we want to see if we can reach out to some of the larger stakeholders and the smaller ones, for that matter, to see if we can get some commitments to funding a position to do some of the Blueprint work. It's been very successful so far, but we are just a volunteer board, and we all have jobs and other commitments in the community, so it's not always been possible for us to give the Blueprint initiative all the time it needs. So we were thinking if we could get a few lead organizations like the university, the hospital, some of the businesses on Main Street, some of the individuals here in town to commit to putting forward some money to pay a person over, let's say, a 5-year commitment, that would be something that we want to look forward to in the future. We're also going to explore some grant opportunities with some of the larger regional foundations on how they can help us step up and help us to fund this position, because we really need someone full-time, almost a Main Street manager, I think.
I was going to say, it sounds an awful lot like Main Street manager. It was discussed when I was on council many years ago, and it's a 5-year program.
Yeah, it's a 5-year commitment, and that is something we've talked about with the PA Downtown Center, which is the administrator of the Blueprint Communities Initiative. We've talked to them about how we want to transition this into a Main Street program, and that's the logical next step. You know, as you go through these programs that the state has for community and economic revitalization, you start out, you know, as a Blueprint community. Maybe you work your way up to an Elm Street program, move into a Main Street manager program, and, you know, get your community energized and moving through a variety of different assistance.
How do you avoid, what some people say, a lot of these planning groups generate a lot of paper, a lot of plans, and quite frankly, sometimes they end up on a shelf gathering dust.
Yeah, I lived and worked in Oil City for a number of years, and I have to tell you, I think Oil City had every study and plan that was ever done. Consultants made a fortune off of that community, and that is a problem that you have to look out for when you're trying to do this. I'm a great believer in planning and doing a study. My work with the library system has always benefited from getting the expert opinion and then using that, leveraging that plan, leveraging that opinion to get grant dollars. And I think that's where we're going to go with this. That, it's just the necessary step. And I think we have the energy on the Blueprint Community Committee to go out and look for these grant opportunities and to go out and look for partners in the private sector to help fund the initiatives that we want to get things, the initiatives that we have planned.
Now, as we were talking earlier, one of the main powers, if you will, of the mayor is the police. There's some direction that the mayor can provide over that. And the last mayor, one of his departing things was to suspend the former police chief, and basically he was removed from office as police chief and secretary treasurer. And then council, of course, has to vote to uphold that type of action. So one of the big things probably facing council and the mayor is the selection of a new police chief.
Yes. As you said, the previous police chief was removed from office following a recommendation by the previous mayor, and it was upheld by council. And so I think that is something we're going to look at into the new year. We currently have Bill Peck, who is the detective on the police force. He's filling in as the interim chief of police here in Clarion Borough. And I don't know where we're going to go with this. I don't know whether he's interested in the job or if one of the other officers are interested in the job. But I assume there is an open process for application to this position, and I will certainly do my part to review those applicants and make a recommendation to council, or at least give my opinion to council.
Right. Well, are you going to be giving your opinion too on whether to retain the model of a secretary treasurer with a police chief, or maybe perhaps a separate police chief? Because that was the first time it was tried, and there was a massive amount of power ended up being given to that person.
I think that model has been proven to be ineffective, and I think that there were individuals who said for a number of years that this is too much power.